Welcome to the Business 7 Show. My name is Juane, and in this week's edition, we shift the conversation to cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin, and speak to Africa Bitcoin Chief Investment Officer Akshay Karan. Welcome to the Business 7 Show. Akshay, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning, and thank you for having me.
The Africa Bitcoin, Africa Bitcoin Corporation. You recently dual listed on the Namibia Stock Exchange. Just talk us through the process that you had to walk to get to that point.
Sure. So the process has been pleasantly efficient. I think we've been overwhelmed at how enabling the environment has been for us to come to Namibia. Just for more context for our viewers, we are listed in South Africa on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and so we were initially approached actually by the Namibian financial services sector, encompassing the exchange as well as the advisors, and they said they invited us to come to Namibia. And since that invitation, it's been an extremely efficient process. We were able to utilize a lot of the work that we did in Johannesburg, in South Africa, and it took us literally weeks to go from being only listed in Johannesburg to being listed in Namibia. And so, my credit must go to our advisors, Cirrus, as well as the Namibian Stock Exchange for creating such an efficient, painless process.
What benefits are there for Namibian investors owing now to this secondary listing on the Namibia Stock Exchange?
Yeah. So the first primary benefit is we're now bringing to market two distinct opportunities that have just not existed in the market in Namibia to date, and that is a Bitcoin treasury company called Africa Bitcoin Corporation that is a fully licensed and regulated share that offers you exposure to Bitcoin. So what we're going to do is all the proceeds from the money we raise, we're going to use to buy Bitcoin. And so through us, you're going to have exposure to Bitcoin through a fully licensed and regulated opportunity. And that is, to my knowledge, the first of in Namibia. The second benefit is we're also bringing a new asset class in private credit and SME funding through Altvest Credit Opportunities Fund. That's an extremely high impact business that is support small business and job creation initially in South Africa, but hopefully very soon as well.
You guys listed earlier in the month. What does that now mean for accessibility for would-be investors? Also, obviously looking at the 23 October deadline when I think this is expected to close. You can correct me.
Yes. So what this basically means is now for Namibian investors, you can contact your broker, and the broker that we've partnered with in country is Cirrus, who are a fantastic party. So you can contact them, and you can now buy shares in these businesses. And those shares are Namibian shares, so they sit in country, and they will give you all of the economic rights and all of the returns and the risks that you would get if you bought these shares in South Africa, except that you now own them as a Namibian investor. The key date of the 23rd of October is the closing date of our capital raise. So what we've done is, and because we are now listing in Namibia, we have made shares available to primarily Namibian investors, also South African investors, to subscribe for new shares in our business. And what that means is that you can lock in your price at the listing price. And this is an opportunity to kind of get involved in the business just as we launch in Namibia. Importantly, that process closes by the 23rd of October. So you would need to get in contact with your broker. Again, our partner in country is Cirrus, and go through the process of opening an account, you will then have your share prior to that capital raise. Now that 23rd. Sorry,
Um,
go for it.
Yes, sorry if I interrupted you. I want to shift the conversation just briefly back to the beginning, and we touched on the Bitcoin aspect, but there was another listing carried out, Altvest Credit Opportunities Fund. Speak to us a bit more about the benefits on that end for the Namibian investor.
Really, really proud of. And so it's a what this is quite simply is it is a SME lender, an SME investor. So in South Africa, we've raised hundreds of millions of rands from institutional investors, so pension funds, asset managers, and we've used that money to give affordable, secured loans to small businesses in South Africa. And over the last 2.5 years, we have created over 1,500 jobs. We have exceeded our return hurdles, and our defaults, which is people not paying the loans, is extremely low. It's actually less than 1%. And so really proud of this model. And we're now bringing this to Namibia. So as a start, Namibian investors will have the opportunity to invest in the South African business, in the South African SME lender. But what we really want to do is we want to use this as a catalyst to set up the same business in Namibia. So in Namibia and invest all of that money in Namibian small business. And so this is the first step in what will hopefully be a multi-year journey and partnership between us and the small business community in Namibia.
The issue with Bitcoin is that it's a fairly new asset class. There would be some concerns in terms of accessibility, in terms of storage, in terms of its tradability. For the Namibian investor, what are the benefits?
Yeah. So firstly, I think it's important to remember Bitcoin's actually been around for about well over 10 years now. So it's new in the mainstream, but it's something that has some level of track record. It has existed. And you have very, very rightly mentioned a few very key risks. There is an issue around accessibility. There's an issue around custody, storage. There's an issue around reliability. And all of those exist if you, as an investor in Namibia, went out and tried to get Bitcoin yourself. You would have to make sure that you were dealing with a reputable party. If you were even able to, you would have to make sure that they were taking care of your Bitcoin. The benefit of investing in Africa Bitcoin Corporation is that one, we are fully licensed and regulated by the Namibia Securities Exchange and the JSE. And second, we have hundreds of pages of policy and documents that give you comfort that we are taking care of that. We have world-class custody, which is as per the JSE's listing regulations. We have, professional experts in this field who know when the right time is to buy and when the right time is to hold off. And so what you're basically doing is you are outsourcing a lot of the very complex, difficult administration that comes with owning Bitcoin to a company that is specializing in doing this, knowing that that company is fully licensed and regulated. The benefit, of course, is that if this asset continues to increase in value, as it has done historically, you will enjoy that upside. And you'll enjoy it through a safe, regulated entry point.
Much of the conversation that we're having on is centered around Bitcoin. Through the Africa Bitcoin Corporation, and again, I'm saying it's centered on Bitcoin, is any emphasis being placed on other cryptocurrencies, or are you specifically only focused on Bitcoin?
Yeah. So we're specifically focused on Bitcoin, and there's a few important reasons why. I think if you look at the size of Bitcoin relative to all of the other cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is by a large margin the biggest. It's the most widely accepted globally. It's the most, it has the most track record. It has the most scale behind it, and the system works the best. And so for us to be able to do a regulated licensed entry point, we feel that this is the most secure asset to do it. Now, there are other fantastic cryptos as well. Ethereum, Solana, XRP, stable coins. There are alternatives that exist. But for us, we are focused solely on Bitcoin because we believe in the utility, we believe in the value of Bitcoin, and we also believe in our ability to do this safely. And that's important.
There was a mention that you made about looking towards setting up a presence within Namibia. What are you looking at? Would this now speak to the other end of your business that is primarily focused on identifying potential SMEs to fund them? Just talk us through that, what this Namibian presence could look like.
That's exactly right. So I think where we're looking to set up a presence is through our SME lending business. One of we learned two important lessons doing this in South Africa. The first is that South Africa is not alone in facing the socio-economic issues that we're trying to solve. Just like South Africa, Namibia has a need to develop small businesses and invest in small businesses. And conversely, just like South Africa, Namibia has a portion of small businesses that actually are what we call underbanked. They're not getting sufficient funding to be able to grow and expand. And so we feel that the opportunity exists and the need exists. And so we would love over time, and when I say over time, I actually mean in the medium term, within the next year, hopefully, we would love to set up a local business that does exactly what we do in South Africa. That is, raise money from institutions and asset managers and ordinary Namibians and use that money to give small businesses a good deal and help them grow and hopefully create jobs in the process.
In terms of consumer education, do you believe enough is being done to educate people in terms of Bitcoin and just the opportunities that it may offer?
Yeah. So I think we have noticed that, I mean, we found a really enabling, progressive regulatory environment in Namibia to make this happen. It would not have happened if there weren't people who were willing to listen and make it happen. And so I start with that important caveat. In terms of education, it is, I think, globally, and this is not a Namibia point, globally, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done around understanding the risks and the opportunities that Bitcoin presents. And that is a big part of what we want to do at Africa Bitcoin Corporation. It's not just about raising money and buying the Bitcoin. It's also about education. And education happens at a few levels, right? It happens with the man on the street or the man or woman on the street, but it also happens with institutions, with asset managers, with pension funds, around making them comfortable with it. So we answer is no, not enough is being done, and a core part of our business is going to be to do that work alongside buying the Bitcoin.
I want to pivot now the conversation to the listing. So Namibia was the first, apart from South Africa, was the first jurisdiction that was identified. And I know when the team from ABC was here, you mentioned Botswana and Kenya. Excuse me. When likely are these listings expected to take place? And have you also probably identified other jurisdictions where this is likely to take hold?
Sure. So, and I'll answer the question for the two businesses separately, right? In terms of Africa Bitcoin Corporation, the intention is to expand into as many big markets as possible so that any investor can benefit from the what we call liquidity, and that is the number of buyers and sellers in the market, because this is the type of investment that you need a lot of liquidity. And so our team currently is actively exploring listing opportunities in big developed markets, markets like the US, like the UK, and hopefully we'll be able to execute on that shortly within the next year or so. For ACOF, the our firm intention is to expand deeply into Africa. And so I've had the pleasure of spending the last week in Botswana, and I've had a series of meetings with key regulators and investors in Botswana. And so I am as optimistic as I've ever been that Botswana is going to happen for us, and I expect it to happen within the next year as well. What's important is we want to expand thoughtfully. So we want to enter markets where we feel, one, there's enough of a cultural alignment for us to actually operate effectively. But two, we actually want to do the localize. We want to spend time on the ground. We want to understand investors. We want to understand, ordinary people that live there. And that takes time. And so what we're not going to do is expand rapidly into 20 different new markets and then try to figure out what we're doing. What we're going to do is be thoughtful and enter the right markets and do it well. And so we expect that for each business, we'll probably do, 1 to 3 new listings into new markets within the next year.
I want to close off now the conversation, and the case of Namibia. I know that in South Africa, the South African Reserve Bank was looking at the issue of crypto as the custodian of money and the economy. These conversations, what is the conversations that you're having with these central banking authorities? Do you think that enough is being done from that point of view to advance this issue of Bitcoin?
So we're very close to discussions in South Africa. We understand it quite intimately, and we have to. That's our responsibility. I think that a lot of work is being done, and so I don't want to be critical at all of regulators because I think they are doing a lot of great work. It's important to understand that this is a new asset class and there is risks associated with it. So we are optimistic that we will land up where we need to. I think an opportunity like ABC listing in Namibia is quite a unique one because we have already done a lot of work around being regulated and being licensed. And so for an investor, this is now an entry point that you can enter via an investment that you know how to do. You know how to buy shares. So you can do the same thing that you've always been doing to invest, which is buy shares and get Bitcoin. And I think that's a very powerful progressive because it means you don't need to open a separate account now. You don't need to trust a new service provider. You can rely on infrastructure that you know. And the feedback that we've received from regulators is that they like that. They like that we are fitting in within existing infrastructure. And that is actually an added layer of credibility to what we're doing because it means you're not reinventing the wheel. You're using systems that are well trusted, that investors know, and we're playing by those systems.
Any last thoughts as we close off the conversation?
So my best advice I can give to viewers today is just go out and read up more about us. Check out our website. We've got lots and lots and lots of information. We are fully listed and regulated in South Africa, so it's literally hundreds of pages of information. We recently released our interim results. That again is hundreds of pages of information. So there is a lot out there. The only thing I can ask of you is go out and read. Take a look at what we stand for. Take a look at what we've done. And if this resonates with you, reach out to your broker and get involved. I think we're really excited about being in Namibia, and we are hopeful that Namibia is excited to have us too, right? And that translates into a wildly successful capital raise that we can go back to South Africa, go back to South African corporates and say, guys, we went to Namibia and it worked. So it's time for you to get involved too. It's time for us to work closer together across with our neighbors. So we'd love to tell that story.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business 7 show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Life is unpredictable and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as 50 Namibian dollars a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
Transport Minister Veiko Nekundi this week inaugurated the new Transportation Commission, which is meant to provide regulatory oversight to matters related to transport within Namibia. The commission will serve for a period of 6 months.
2026. I hope you have followed what the task I have given you. So Your reconsideration for a full term will depend on what you deliver from what I have given you. And by now you know me. I'm a guy who keep my words. I'm a guy who like the outcome. So I've given you 5 tasks. So that will be the determining factors. 6 months. I want them delivered. So therefore it is really my pleasure to give you this appointment letter on behalf of the President. The appointment is by the President. Madam Loini Shikale. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Dr. Helvi Petrus. Congratulations. Keep working. Thank you. Very good. Master Johannes Tukushu. Congratulations. All the best. I appreciate it. Jushi Pepe, Master. Congratulations once more.
Thank you very
Really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Junior 7. That's all. Thank you very much. So all the best. Chair, you may give your acceptance to the President on behalf of the team.
Staying on issues related to the Ministry of Transport, it has confirmed that about 1,500 e-hailing operators do not currently hold the requisite licenses
In terms of their operators to see whether they're in compliance, and few of the applications have been submitted with the Roads Authority, being the Secretariat to the Road Transportation Board, and applications were notified, those that have received permits, and there are others that are still awaiting. Remember, for you to get a PDP, you also need to get a contact certificate. So there were those that were also outstanding due to the fact that they are waiting for their contact certificates to be allocated before they can go into the process of getting a PDP. So we did verify all of that, and we could also verify that some of the operators are not able to use the system in terms of those that were blocked. However, we did not, initially we could not get into the system, the Yango system itself, because they said there are certain security features that they are still working on. So hence, a detailed report is on its way to the Honorable Minister. And I believe from that report, the Minister will take another decision on what's the way forward. But that's all I can say at this moment.
NamPower this week received the Omburu battery energy storage system in Walfish Bay that will allow it to effectively store energy as part of efforts to ensure energy generation for Namibia.
The Omburu BESS project is Namibia's first utility battery project. It's a pioneer in the energy storage. It is designed for 51 megawatt hour. That means 1 hour storage of battery. Okay. For this first shipment, today really marks a auspicious moment where we are welcoming and accepting the arrival of the first shipment. The first shipment is made up of 8 power conversion system units. And then we are then expecting 1 more power conversion system unit and 36 battery containers, which makes up a total of 9 PCS containers and 36 battery containers. NamPower is really just hereby announcing that to the entire Namibian nation and all its esteemed stakeholders in this pioneering project that the first shipment of the Omburu BESS project, which is a pioneering project in energy storage in Namibia, has arrived, and would really just like all to rejoice the moment. I thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Business 7 show. Hope to catch you again next week. Take care.